says we're back on board with the circuit here at Clara. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers. And through the smoke we come.
What a crack! Oh, crack!
Hi, and welcome to another Retro Motorsport. This week we've got GP Hydros, Motocross and Karting. First up, it's the 2015 GP Hydroplane Champs from the river at Wanganui.
Once a year, the normally quiet city of Wanganui is transformed with 20 of New Zealand's fastest GP hydroplane and Formula One tunnel hulls racing in a unique event on the Wanganui River.
It's the hometown, and what a great place it is, and what a great crowd we get here, and the council and the backing from all the supporters and sponsors in Wanganui itself to sort of make this free event happen is just unreal. 30 years I've been running hydros and flat bottoms. I started in the bottom classes and we built our way up, and the family all came up together with us, and as they grew up they eventually got a boat, so we've sort of increased in size a bit since then, and they're keener than I am, to be fair. I think I'm probably a bit past it, but they're on a roll, so we'll see how we go. The river's very narrow. I think it's about 90 metres wide, the river. The general courses we run on are 400 metres wide. So, and the boys are usually about 200 metres apart, and here they're 50 metres apart, so really tight. And obviously we do flying laps because you can't run a number of them together because of safety. I think they'll be doing 280 k's plus today, yeah. So it'll be pretty 2,000 horsepower, 8 gallons a minute of fuel, and they'll be going hard.
One of the top Formula One tunnel drivers is reigning New Zealand champ, Luke Sharp.
Welcome to the world of Formula One powerboat racing. I drive for the Prompt Parts team. Here at Wanganui is our first round. You can expect 12 boats hooning around this track at about 180 to 190 kilometres an hour, turning on a dime and avoiding logs down the river.
The conditions early on were testing the crews, with strong gusty winds proving less than ideal for the GP Hydros and the Formula Ones. With an early start to the season, all of the GP hydroplane crews used the Wanganui Downtown Thunder event as a shakedown for the upcoming circuit racing schedule. The conditions were not getting any better, as highlighted by Warwick Lupton in Annihilator race boats and Ken Lupton in his new boat, Lucas Oil. The wind and changing tides were proving to be a challenge for all of the boats, including Jack Lupton here in GP 57.
Yeah, good. It's got a lot of loads coming out at the moment. No, you can't get an understanding there because it's just going boof and bang.
Then David Alexander and Steele are headed out. And he had this ugly and scary moment highlighting that the sport of GP hydroplane racing is not for the faint-hearted. Safety in the sport is paramount.
First of all, we have a spare air system, and they vary from a mask type to I just have a valve type that I actually push in if I need it, and we carry our own spare, which is on our leg. So in case of an accident, we can actually, if we're stuck in the boat, we've got air. And also on the boats, we're equipped with an airbag system. So when it goes upside down, it actually blows a big bag off and actually puts the boat back up in the air. So the divers can get to you a lot easier. So the GP hydroplanes and that they use, and some of the Formula One boats, they use a Tiger system, which is a full mask breathing system, which I just use the same as what Formula One do in the World Series. I actually bought it off them. So yeah, that's the two systems that most people use, either a mask or you use this in case of emergency if you haven't got out of the boat.
After the break, it's race one for the Formula One tunnels. Sunday morning dawned with some better conditions on the river, meaning an early start for the Formula One teams for the first race of the New Zealand Championship Series. The grids were marble drawn as the conditions on day one didn't allow a qualifying session. Here's the highlights of race number 1 with 12 boats out on the water, the first round of the New Zealand Formula One Championship. Boats to look out for, obviously Malcolm Jamieson, former national champ, and the reigning national champion, Luke Sharp in prompt parts. But it's Julian Stillwell and Scott Construction with the whole shot on lap number 1. With an outside run, that was Sam Hughes down the inside, on board with Philip Stillwell back through the field. On board with Julian Stillwell, and he's in second now. Jeff Price and Lone Wolf Racing has the race lead and the inside line. Stillwell having to contend with the outside. Sam Hughes down the inside. Back on board with Stillwell. Further back, Philip Stillwell. That's Steve Priest to his outside in his brand new race boat, the former Anthony Robinson KRB, now known as TRT. Fantastic race out in front. Still Jeff Price down the inside. Stillwell got that outside line working. But Jeff Price has track position in the white number 12, Lone Wolf Racing. Stillwell pulls up alongside. Sensational opening heat for the first round of the New Zealand Championship here at Downtown Thunder on the Wanganui River. Stillwell with a big run down the back straight, but he can't get that favoured inside line. On board with Jeff Price, and Stillwell now gets the advantage. But a beautiful inside run there from Price. Gets the lead back, but this is a stunner. In front of a packed crowd on the banks of the Wanganui River. You can see how little of the boats are in the water, pretty much just the last quarter of the boat and the props with these Mercury Racing outboards. Stillwell in a little bit of rougher water to the outside. Price looking very, very comfortable down the inside. Absolutely flat out down the back straight. And again, look at the tighter turn there from Price. Stillwell cannot get the advantage. That's well and truly now in the hands of Jeff Price and Lone Wolf Racing. Biggest lead of the race he's had since the start. Stillwell just dropping back with Sam Hughes back in third. Here's the reigning national champion, Luke Price in prompt parts. Looking out over the rear deck. Unique shot. You can see both sides of the river. As we go back on board with Total, Philip Stillwell. Race leader still Jeff Price, Lone Wolf Racing, boat number 12. He's got a gap back to Stillwell. Some lap traffic for the race leader. Oh, and a problem there. The engine cover comes off Jeff Price's race boat. Just caught an awkward wave. Shouldn't cause too many issues. It's Luke Sharp's trying to play catch-up. A quiet opening race for the defending national champion. And in fact, he's about to go down a lap to the leaders. Price has already gone by. Stillwell goes by. Stillwell now starting to come back with that engine cover off. Has it hurt the aero on the number 12 Lone Wolf Racing boat? Stillwell right back in the equation now, just a boat length in it. Price still on the outside, got an awkward run off the exit. As Stillwell winds up down the back straight. Very, very physical race boats to run. Big G-forces through the corners. And again, just the prop in the water a couple of times there for Stillwell. And he's going to try and get through to the lead. The white flag out for Stillwell and Price. Side by side with one to go. Not too much lap traffic up ahead. They should not get to it. On the run down to the checkered flag again, Price with an awkward run on the inside where he was so strong at the beginning of the race. But Julian Stillwell is coming back and making a race of it. One corner left to go. Stillwell winds up on the outside. Price on the inside. Approaching the northern end of the course. It's going to be close, and the run down to the checkered flag. Who has got the win? That is so close to call. Stillwell on the outside, Price on the inside. Who got the victory in race number 1 here on the Wanganui River? Well, it was that close. It was Julian Stillwell on the outside taking the win in race number 1 from Jeff Price in Lone Wolf Racing. Sam Hughes in unfinished business in third ahead of Anthony Robinson in his new design Windows boat. Going back through the field, Luke Sharp in 7th, Ryan Birch 8th, Derek McAdam a DNF.
Yeah, no, very happy. It was quite a tough race for us. I had pretty much spent the whole race with no power steering. So, you know, I was having to wedge my arms up against the side of the cockpit trying to hang on, and yeah, I wasn't actually quite sure whether I got him on the finish line or not, because I never really saw the checkered flag. I was busy just trying to keep the speed up, and it was pretty good tough race, to be honest.
Unfortunately, it's come off a few times and I'm a little bit used to it. We put some extra hatch pins on this time and thought it was going to hold, but that's an extremely tight corner and we caught a ruck and it gave it, they're reckoning 5 Gs, so 5 times its weight. Yeah, just didn't hold on.
A little bit of mayhem. I don't know what's actually going on, but when we come in, we notice a bit of smoke in the cockpit, so we're just going through everything at the moment. We haven't come up with anything, but hopefully we'll make it for the next race.
Coming up next, it's race 2 for the Formula 1 tunnels and the mighty GP Hydroplanes get on the river for the downtown flying lap. One of the new names in New Zealand's GP Hydroplane ranks is young Jack Lupton. GP57 is one of the newest boats in the country.
I'm the pilot of GP57 Grand Prix Hydroplane. The engines are about 1,500 to 1,800 horsepower and they run on methanol. My main thrills of driving a GP Hydroplane is every lap's different, and trying to cover a rugby field over 1.1 second is an amazing feeling, so that's my thrill.
Next up, it is race 2 for the Formula 1 tunnels, the first round of the New Zealand Championships, with the grid lined up as a reverse grid from race number 1. And as you can see with these rollers coming in down the river, slightly trickier conditions than what we saw for race number 1, with another fantastic lineup with these amazingly quick Formula 1 tunnels. Look at them leap up out of the water. Steve Priest out on the inside in TNT, the former Anthony Robinson KRB hull. There's Ray Glass, Malcolm Jamison's new boat. Luke Sharp set up for flatter water in race number 1, and a big moment there for Sam Hughes in unfinished business. Here's the replay, just caught a wave and the boat turned 90 degrees left. Very lucky not to turn over the number 7 boat. Malcolm Jamison, your race leader in Ray Glass, former national champ. Steve Priest to his inside in TNT. Luke Sharp back there in about 5th, on board with Julian Stillwell. Now, look at the data. 160 kilometres. Water's a little bit smoother down at the bridge end, the northern end of the course. Sam Hughes has stopped out there. That may have been a legacy from that huge moment he had off the race start. As Malcolm Jamison continues to lead. There's Anthony Robinson going through in 4th in design windows. Brand new Barber hull, 2.5 litre Mercury power. And likewise a brand new boat for Malcolm Jamison, a DAC. The highly modified 2.5 litre EFI Mercury outboard. Back on board with Stillwell, we saw the top speed, previously 164 kilometres an hour for the race 1 winner, but he's a little bit further back through the field. You can see the lateral G's and the acceleration and deceleration. Steve Price just has an awkward rounding there at the southern end of the course, but it's Jamison in control. New sponsor this season with Ray Glass, brand new race boat imported out of Europe. Former national champion, a very good boat builder in his own right. In fact, built the Annihilator race boats, GP Hydroplane, driven by Warwick Lupton. Quite a distinctive hull profile. Quite a different aero package down off the back of the cockpit, heading down towards the outboard. This wonderful front-on shot. You can see how little of the boat is in the water. They are literally flying Steve Priest having some problems. He's dropped down the order. Anthony Robinson is in second position. White flag is out. Julian Stillwell, consistent for the weekend. He's now up into third. And looking at the data, getting up to speed now. Certainly the bottom part of the course is a lot rougher. Northern end of the course where they're heading to now, 162 kilometres an hour. It's Malcolm Jamieson looking to take his first victory at the first round of the New Zealand Championships. Gets it turned down into the checkered flag. Jamieson takes heat number 2 for the Formula One tunnels. DNF, unfortunately, for Sam Hughes, parked up on the inside of the course. Malcolm Jamieson with the victory in Rayglass. Jamieson with the victory ahead of Anthony Robertson in Design Windows. Julian Stillwell go with his win in Heat 1, third for race number 2 in Scott Construction, with Derek McAdam, Luke Sharp and Jeff Price completing the top 6. Steve Priest in 7th, Nick Coles in 8th with DNS for Sam Hughes, Ryan Birch and Philip Stillwell.
Yeah, it was really good to get that second race in. On the first one we were on the pole 11 at the back, so it was a bit of a harder job, but on that race there, coming from pole 1, we got our stuff sorted, and yeah, we started to pull away right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty stoked with the way the weekend's gone. I mean, it's the weather conditions have held out today for us, so we've been able to push the boat through some rough stuff to see how it handles in that, and we've put the boat back on the trailer. It's still in one piece, and we can set up for Carapero.
Different story, starting from the second row, and I had Derek pushing me behind me. I could see him in my mirrors, and he just kept coming, and I was really, sort of resorted to the fact of where I was, and I was starting to think, I'll start to back off a bit and save a bit of the gear, but Derek just kept coming. I could see him in both mirrors, and it was tough, and it was pretty rough out there, a lot rougher than it looked.
Certainly was testing conditions for the Formula One Series. First round of the championship, Julian Stillwell with the lead, 50 points ahead of Malcolm Jamieson on 47. Anthony Robertson in third on 43 ahead of Jeff Price, Luke Sharp and Sam Hughes. Those having a few little issues throughout the weekend, a little bit further down in the order. Time for the big boys, the GP Hydroplanes for the Downtown Flying Lap, Downtown Thunder here at Wanganui, and it's Ken Lupton in Lucas Oil's GP 09. Ron Jones hull, imported into New Zealand last year. Beautifully presented in Lucas Oil colours for the 14-15 season. Now watch the time, or we'll have a split for the bottom turn. You can see how much rougher it is down there. 16.08 at the split. These boats capable of up to 2,000 horsepower, turning over at about 8,500 RPM. A little bit of a moment there on the back straight. Certainly not at full throttle for Ken Lupton. Again, just highlighting how difficult the conditions are at the bottom end of the course. A lot smoother water here at the northern end of the course. And down to the flying finish. Ken Lupton in Lucas Oil's time, 45.09. Solid effort there from Ken Lupton. And how's about that flying start from David Alexander and Steeler GP 777, 2012 Henderson Old hull, 2,000 horsepower, Big Chief Chev, supercharged on methanol. Big step up from his previous Stordarker hull that served David Alexander so well over so many seasons around New Zealand and Australia in GP hydroplane racing. Bottom end of the course, look at the shark on the cockpit. 2 seconds up on Ken Lupton. He's got the adjustable front canard wing working overtime here as he's getting on the throttle down the back straight. These boats capable of 280 kilometres an hour. Not quite at that in these rougher conditions on the Wanganui River. Quite a wide turn into the final corner, second split. He's just up, only 0.45 of a second up on Ken Lupton and Lucas Oils. Down to the flying finish. Now getting some RPM on board, and 47.09, lost a little bit of time out of that final turn, 2 seconds slower than Ken Lupton. Next up, it's young Jack Lupton in GP 57. Another spectacular GP hydroplane. On board, 2010 Henderson Old hull. Between 1,500 to 1,800 horsepower, 510 cubic inches. Again, supercharged big block Chev, running on methanol. Huge supercharger, 1471 supercharger, and he's up on David Alexander's split. Jack Lupton is flying. You can see the rough ride he's getting in the cockpit of GP57, and he's not afraid to hustle this boat just like his dad Warwick. No fear from the youngster, and this should be a good lap. Look how tight the turn is at the northern end of the course, and the run down to the checkered flag. He's 0.7 up on Alexander, who lost a little bit of time to Ken Lupton on the run down to the checkered flag. 43.19, 1.45 seconds quicker. Jack Lupton the fastest with 2 more boats to come. Annihilator race boats, Warwick Lupton. I don't think there's a championship in the world that Warwick has not won over 30 years. Mass Sport Cup, EC Griffiths Cup, the World Championships. This unique Annihilator race boats with the outrigger configuration. And you can see that from front on. Oh, a moment there for Lupton down the bottom of the course, and he's down on the split from Jack's split at the first turn, 2.95 seconds down. And he's got some RPM going here. Annihilator race boats literally flying down the back straight. A little bit wider through the turn than Jack on the previous run, but he made some gains on the back part of the track. Down to the checkered flag. What's the time for Warwick Lupton? 43.48.3 down. He nearly got it done in the second half of the lap, but it's still Jack Lupton quickest. Next up, it's Raymond Hart in the Boss GP05. Coming back from a big crash a couple of seasons ago. Boat owned by Peter Knight Sr. Spectacular looking boat. And this boat was the benchmark going back 10 or so years, when it was known as Boss Mobile 1 in the sinister black paint job. Big moment there, up on its side through the first turn, and he's up at the split, 0.6 of a second up on Jack Lupton's split. Raymond Hart on a lap here at Wanganui. Big RPM. Very, very quick in a straight line. And an aggressive last turn, and he's 0.7 up at the final corner, up on Jack Lupton. Can Raymond Hart carry it on down to the line to take the victory here at Wanganui? For Downtown Thunder, he flies across the finish, 42 seconds flat, 1.24 seconds up on Jack Lupton. And then cleans up one of the turn boys on the warm down lap. What a way to finish for Raymond Hart, but he takes out the victory. 42 seconds for the flying lap in the Boss GP05. Jack Lupton second, Warwick Lupton third in Annihilator race boats, Ken Lupton fourth with David Alexander fifth in the Steeler. So that's the first event done for what will be a busy season for the New Zealand GP Hydroplanes and Formula 1 Tunnel Championship. 4 rounds coming up between now and April. Get out, check them out. These are some of the most spectacular race boats on the planet.
Next up, it's motocross. The year is 2006. It's round 4 of the National Champs from Waimate.
The South Canterbury's Motorcycle Club's home track, the Craig Gilbert Race Circuit, was the venue for the 4th and final round of the Ssangyong New Zealand Motocross Championship. A big crowd had gathered to take in New Zealand's finest natural terrain track, set in amongst limestone rock formations in the Waimate Gorge, and the stage was set for the 3 main titles to be decided. At round 3, held in Taranaki at the Barrett Road track, the remarkable King family continued their dominance of the Ssangyong New Zealand Motocross Championship. The 3 brothers' performance over the 125, 250 and 500cc classes had set the scene for history to be made. Darryl stands to win both the 250 and the 500cc classes on his Yamaha, whilst youngest brother Damien is set to win the 125. So in the 500cc points table, it looks like this. Daryl King leads on 188 from Luke Burkhardt on 162 and Peter Broxholm on 137. 4th place is Cody Cooper on 114. Luke, last round of the Ssangyong New Zealand Motocross Champs, how's the series gone for you?
It's been reasonable, pretty consistent. I've basically finished every moto on the podium, and that's normally what it takes to win championships, and I'm still sitting 26 points behind DK, so it's, you know, you just got to try and get that extra place up there and try and win some motos today. And hopefully have a good day and just count the points at the end and see if we can peg some back on them.
In the 125cc class, it's Damien King on top on 174 points. Michael Phillips from Rotorua on 150, 24 back. And in third, it's the Australian Cameron Taylor on 136. He's followed by countryman Troy Doran. In the 250 class, it's the same story with the King at the top. Daryl King on 187 from Shane on 177. Third place is Sean Fogarty on 167 points. Shane, what's it going to take to beat that brother of yours?
He's riding good. He's been riding great this year, and I take my hat off to him. He's fast, and probably as fast as me, and faster in some ways, and I'm faster in other ways. So it's him and I have been racing our whole life together, and we just enjoy doing it.
The only two-stroke class in the Ssangyong Championship with a 250 class, and in race one, it was Christchurch's Brad Norton on his Kawasaki that got the whole shot. Before long, it was the usual battle at the front of the field. Daryl King on brother Shane. Sitting back in third place was Sean Fogarty on the West Kawasaki, but third would be as good as he would get. Whilst brake problems slowed younger brother Shane, it was Daryl King that took the flag and race won. So official results sees Daryl King draw first blood from younger brother Shane and Kawasaki's Sean Fogarty through in third place. In fourth place, it was Andrew Porter from Taranui, and in fifth, Christchurch's Brad Norton on another Kawasaki. Daryl, we talked before the first race, and I asked you if you're going to go for the championship or go for the win. Clearly, you went for the win.
Yeah, that's the plan, Phil. There's no use cruising around out there. I think the 500 race will be a little bit different. With Luke and Peter Broxham and Cody and Shane, there's sort of 5 of us in there that can mix it up. And the biggest thing I found in that race is arm pump. I think Shane got it as well as I. It's just a rough track, and the bumps aren't that high. They're just sharp and short, and they just hammer you the whole moto. So the arms were pumping up, and it was hard to turn the throttle near the end of the race.
A crash in the first turn really set the stage for points leader Damien King's day. Whilst he was struggling, it was the Australian pairing of Troy Doran and Cameron Taylor that led into the first turn. Behind them, mayhem. With the Australian veteran Troy Doran leading an Australian clean sweep, it was trouble for Damien King. He was mired back in 15th place. For King, it would be playing catch-up all day.
I think he must have done it.
And by the moto's end, his big lead in the 125 series was whittled away. Further back in the field, the real racing was between Team Kawasaki's Michael Phillips and Hayden Mackay on the Yamaha. In the end, the battle would be won by Mackay, and he would go through to finish a magnificent second place. By the time the 20 minutes plus 1 lap race was up, and heated by the crash of countryman Doran, it was Cameron Taylor from Australia who carried the day. 125 results see Cameron Taylor take out the first race of the 125s from Hayden Mackay of Christchurch and Michael Phillips on the Kawasaki in third. After a troubled championship by his own high standards, Timaru was the place to shine for Cody Cooper. And shine he did, taking his 450 Honda not only to the whole shot, but a substantial lead. Chasing him hard was the defending champion in the class and mentor to all the Castrol Honda Red riders, Shane King, who was back on the 500cc machines after sitting out the first 2 rounds. Current points leader in the 500cc class, Daryl King, chased his brother all race, but couldn't find a chink in his armour. And although he would get close, third was as good as he would get. After a great start, Masterton's Luke Burkhardt would have to be content with 4th place, seemingly having no answer to the Flying King brothers. Fifth place was yet another Honda Castrol Red Riders rider, and that was Tauronga's Peter Broxholm. Lacking a bit of the spark from last season, he was still well into the top 4 overall. Cody Cooper would come through and take the win and get his championship points back on track. In second place it was Shane King, and in third Darryl. In fourth place it was a Suzuki of Luke Burkhardt, and in fifth yet another Honda, Peter Broxholm. You look right at home on the 450. You like it? You like it more than the 250?
Oh, definitely. It's got a lot more power. At the start I was a bit nervous when I had to ride it, but once you ride it and get used to something here, it's just, you know, the Honda's an awesome bike to ride, and it's good to just get on there and, you know, give it heaps.
Race 2 in the 250 saw a clean hole shot from Scotland's Barry Morris. Chasing him hard all the way, Blenheim's Tim Kerr. After a couple of laps, Darryl King's Subway Yamaha has found its way to the lead, after both Kerr and Morris began to fade. Just as we'd seen in the 3 previous rounds, the 250 class was the domain of the 2 oldest King brothers. Shane, the 96 World 500cc champion, chasing his brother hard, but never able to beat him. Once again, it was Kawasaki's Sean Fogarty, one of the fittest men on the circuit, that would again finish third place. As the checkered flag was being waved, it was Darryl King that put a virtual stranglehold on the 250cc title. So first place once again goes to Darryl King from his brother Shane, and in third place it is Sean Fogarty. Fourth place went to Scotland's Barry Morris. With current points leader Damien King struggling with crashes and bad starts during race 1, all eyes were on him to perform in race 2, but it wasn't to be. Getting the whole shot, Cameron Taylor. With his countryman Troy Doran feeling the effects of his hard crash in race 1, Taylor began to pull away.
Trying to put himself back in contention.
Chasing him hard and having his best round of the 4-round Ssangyong Championship was Christchurch's Justin McDonald. But all eyes should have been on Damien King. Another bad start saw him back in 24th place after lap 1. For Damien, it would be a day about catching up. Michael Phillips from Rotorua on his Kawasaki was keeping his second place title hopes alive with another third place here in race 2. Fourth place, another Kawasaki, Jesse Wickie. When the flag fell, it was the Australian making it 2 for 2. So the 125 result sees a clean sweep so far for Cameron Taylor. In second place, Justin McDonald's from Michael Phillips and Jesse Wickie. And with the bad performance of Damien King, the 125 title is wide open. It'd be pretty fair to say you've had a bit of a shocker today, Damien.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Just getting out of the gate's been a bit of an issue and caused a couple of crashes that race. Makes it interesting, you know. A couple of guys, 3 guys now going for the championship in the last race, so it's going to be a good one. I'm going to put a hard charge on, put the King charge on. I'm going to fight to the end. So 9 points. I'm going to go hard.
The second 500cc class race would be where Darryl King could wrap up the title. But once again, it was Cody Cooper that would lead the big field into turn 1. Luke Burkhardt's great start came to nothing as Cooper, who had performed brilliantly in the recent Motocross of Nations, was riding the wheels off his Castrol Blue Wing Honda 450. Shane King was back in his customary second place. The younger King content in his racing and mentoring role for his young chargers in the Castrol Honda team. Another season in Australia and a step up to the big machines was the right move for Burkhardt, but he had no answer to the fast-running Hondas. Fifth here, good enough for second overall. Toward the end of the race, the man in second place had done enough to wrap up the 500cc title for 2006. Darryl King had been virtually unstoppable all season, never finishing lower than 4th place. A A remarkable performance for the 37-year-old. So a quick look at the results after race 2 sees Cody Cooper in the front. In second place, it's Daryl King, enough to wrap up the championship. In third, it's younger brother Shane. And in fourth place, Peter Broxholm. Fifth place, Luke Burkhardt on the Suzuki. Well, first things first, I guess, congratulations, 500cc champion in New Zealand. After all your trials and tribulations last year, it must be pretty satisfying.
It's satisfying, I tell you. It's been a few years with injuries and Shane, beating me fair and square. So to come out swinging this year, and I feel like I'm riding. I always say this every year, but better than ever. To race with Cody, then there was nothing in it early on. He had the lead, and a bit of dust was flying, so I was a little bit cautious, and then. It was game on after that. So, it's neat to win the championship.
And we're on the brink of a king sweep. I don't think that's ever been done before in New Zealand titles.
Yeah, no, never. No, not in all three classes. So it's up to Damien. He just said to me he's got a 9-point lead. He's having a bit of a negative day. He's had a few crashes and some terrible starts. Doesn't really like these dusty conditions. So hopefully, with a bit of luck, he can get those 9 points he needs, and he's away with that championship.
Well, if you have a look at the points, it is Damien King leading by 9, but he was leading by 24 going in, so he's struggling a little bit. Second place is Michael Phillips on 199, and third, nipping at his heels, is Cameron Taylor on 186. Well, this is the final race of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championship for 2006 for the 125s, and Damien King will be looking for a good start here, and he's got a good start by the look of it, but so too is Troy Doran, but it's Cameron Taylor that goes out in front. No, it is Justin McDonald that goes into the first turn in the lead. Paul Pavletic, Damien King had to get a good start, and he's got one here.
He sure has. He's had a miserable day so far today, and he's just got to do the business now. It's come down to the wire. They've had 4 meetings, and it's right down to the last race.
So Justin McDonald in the front, Callum Taylor and Nick Saunders in there as well. So too Jesse Wickie, so a good start for the Kawasaki rider. But this man, well, this is his local track, near enough to. We're at Waimate, we're about 50 kilometres from Timaru. We're about an hour and a half from Christchurch. So that's what Justin McDonald calls home. And how hard is he trying here? He's putting on a show for the locals, and he's doing a fine job at the moment. The one to watch for, though, Paul, is number T, Cameron Taylor. He could nip second place here if he has a good result. I didn't see how well Michael Phillips started.
He could do, but did you see McDonald? He didn't button off. He just kept the thing absolutely tapped to the stops and nailed it through the corner.
Well, the South Canterbury Motorcycle Club have done a fantastic job of preparing this moonscape-like atmosphere here. There is Damien King now. He has got a good start. He's up in about the top 6 or 7. He's had shockers since then. He was 24th in race number 2. He came through into the top 10, so maybe he knows exactly where he needs to be. Number 3, the Subway Yamaha sponsor, Damien King. Are we going to see a King family sweep here? Damien's got all the work to do, and there he is there, but I guess he'll be getting signals from his pit board, from his mechanic. He'll know exactly what he has to do to retain the championship. He last won back in 1996.
Well, first place you get 25 points, second is 22 points, third is 20, and fourth 18. So he got to be better than fourth. Fourth or better.
3, Damien King. Started off with a 24-point lead, whittled it down to 19. It's still McDonald in the front. Have a look at the placings in the bottom of the screen as we concentrate on the champion-elect. The youngest of the Kings, has experience racing in Europe, raced in Australia frequently, and of course a fixture on the New Zealand scene. Subway Yamaha is the bike underneath them, and Damien King has had a fantastic championship. I don't think, Paul, he's never finished much lower than 6th.
He's always knocking on the door, and like you said, 10 years since he won his last 125 New Zealand Championship. That's an incredible achievement to be this strong, that far on.
So Damien sitting pretty, perhaps, for championship number 2 in the 125s, but out in the front it is this man, Justin McDonald from Christchurch, on the Castrol Honda team this year, mentored by Shane King, riding the CRF 250 4-stroke. Now we've got to explain the confusion here. Although this is the 125 class, that's from the old days of racing. The majority of the field are on 250cc 4-strokes. No one doing a better job of it than this guy.
Well, there's still just a couple of 125 2-strokes out there, not a lot. The 4-strokes are definitely easier to ride.
So Taylor still sits in second. Damien King now up to third. So he's sitting where he needs to be to keep that 9-point spread. Look at the crowd. They love this young man. Justin McDonald, the local boy. Cameron Taylor, the Australian.
Well, his best placings to date in the series so far for Justin McDonald have been 2 second places. So I'm sure he wants to take a win home.
Well, Cameron Taylor, of course, going for the clean sweep. One Moto 1, one Moto 2. Maybe he's not going to get the sweep here, but maybe he's going to do enough to get into second place overall in the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championship. As while we've been watching this race unfold, I haven't yet seen Michael Phillips. It means that Michael hasn't had a good start, and he was only 4 points in front of this man going into the final race.
I think, too, the King boys would have been priming Damien up, too, giving him a bit of a pep talk. Like, these guys want to make history this weekend. The King family is going to dominate the whole New Zealand Championship, all classes. Unbelievable.
Well, when you think about it, Paul, they're racing against the top Australians. Cameron Taylor was the Pro Lights champion last year in the Mr. Motocross Series in Australia. He didn't win it this year. That went to Jay Marmont on a KTM, but he is still one of the very best riders in Australia. Currently, he sits in second place. He's chasing Justin McDonald. And, Paul, you've got to say, he's not making too much of a dent into the lead that McDonald's got at the moment.
No, McDonald's absolutely on fire. I think the team management must have given him a big serve up. We want to see a win before the end of the year. Hey, look, I'm impressed too with Michael Phillips. He did really well at the third round too. Don't forget, he won a race as well. This is a class field, Phil.
Well, talking about Michael Phillips, I just had it whispered in my ear that he is currently back in 11th place, and that's not going to be good enough. You mentioned it before, the point spread, 25, 22, and so on down the scale. He needs to be closer to Taylor to secure second place.
Well, Michael Phillips on that Kawasaki will charge through the field. He's a very, very fit young man.
Well, he is fit. I know that he and a couple of the guys he trains with went in the 12-hour mountain bike race, and they said that they needed to get the whole shot and they were going for the win. Well, they won their classes. And remember, last year we talked about Peter Broxholm riding around Taupo in just over 4 hours. That's national class cycling, and that's exactly what these guys were doing on mountain bikes.
Oh, they're superb athletes. Did you see the rocks too? I'd say that's looking a little bit scary too. You'd want hand guards.
Well, when we got here this morning, they took away 5 trailer loads of rocks from the start straight. You can see them peppering the racetrack, just like a European track. Won't bother these guys, though. They got the bit between the teeth, none more so than the man on your screen. This is Justin McDonald from Christchurch. Last year finished 7th in the 125 title chase. He'll go better than that this year. He's had a very consistent season.
Well, it won't be worrying him. He's that far out front at the moment. He's just really is impressive.
And look at this track. They shortened it from last year, but it's got so many ups and downs on it. Beautiful drop-away jumps, beautiful ski ramp jumps. The South Canterbury Club doing a fantastic job. And a fitting venue for the last round of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championship.
Well, motocross is alive and well in the South Island. You know, the South Island folks are really passionate about it.
So McDonald continues to lead. Taylor in second place. The word we're getting now is that Michael Phillips is moving up. He's now up to 8th place, and that's still not good enough. He needs to get up a little bit further.
Yeah, you've just only got to have one little tumble and you can lose 4 or 5 placings easily in this sort of company. Hopefully you don't stall it as well. These two little 250s can be hard to start.
Well, that's right. Once they're hot, and these bikes are hot because they're running hot here at Waimate, the Waimate Gorge. There is Damien King on the Subway Yamaha. One of the riders just doing the sensible thing and getting out of the way as they get into the lap traffic. And look at the landscape round here, Paul. These limestone rock formations are just amazing.
Looks like something out of a Moon movie. I'm sure, too, the Kings will be giving him pit boards, telling him exactly where he is and what he has to achieve to get that championship under his belt.
Well, that's right. I talked to elder brother Daryl before these races started this morning, and I said, is it about the championship or is it about winning races? He said for him it's about winning races, but for Damien it's all about the championship. He won it 10 years ago on a Yamaha. Can he do it again here in Timaru?
Well, he's done a good job so far this championship. He's had 4 wins, and that's as much as anyone else. Cam Taylor, he's matched that with 4 also.
Number 7 on your screen, Justin McDonald, Honda Red Riders, Castrol sponsored machine. Just got him going past, I think that was Brad Groombridge, and I've been really impressed with Brad's performance this season. He's really gone well first years out of junior racing into the senior ranks. He's having a bit of a problem with that Kawasaki in this race, but he really has gone well, and I think he'll finish inside the top 10.
Oh, look, he will. That's a fine motorbike, and he is, write that name down because he's going to be a champion, big time. Possibly a world champion is my pick in the next 5 years. He's that good.
Well, maybe you don't have to discount this man either. Justin McDonald just making it look so easy, and I can tell you that this racetrack is very, very rock-strewn and very, very rough. The soil's a bit of a mix between sand and topsoil, and it really has cut up.
This is a great class too for our up-and-coming juniors, Phil. It's they're not that hard to ride, these 254 strokes, and it's a good transition from juniors into seniors.
Lewis Osborne just getting out of the way of Justin McDonald there, number 616 on the Yamaha.
These bikes are really small and compact now, eh? A lot of these guys dwarf them, don't they?
That's right, Justin, just still in his teens, I think. There's Cam Taylor, so he's getting a little bit closer, and I think we just might have got a glimpse there of Michael Phillips, so he's starting to come through them as well. There's Damien King, he's in third. I think Phillips back in about 5th place now, Paul, so he's slowly but surely getting towards the front of this field. It's ironic to think that in the last 2 races, he's had fantastic starts, and the one that counts, he gets a shocker.
Wow, that's just pressure, isn't it? It comes down to pressure and maybe a little bit of bad luck.
Well, if this man succumbed to pressure, there's no evidence of it at the moment. Number 7, Justin McDonald, had a great ride going here last year in the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Champs, but had a bad crash in the Timaru round. Here he is here, making up for that, and then some.
That's a serious downhill too, Phil. They're probably tapped out in 4th gear.
Well, there is. We saw it on the bottom of the screen. Michael Phillips up to 4th place. Remember, Cameron Taylor is in 2nd place. There was only 4 points between them in this, the final race. Is he going to be able to do enough? Will the Kiwi be able to beat the Australian? The Australian on a real hot streak. He won the first 2 motos, but Justin McDonald has run away with this one.
If it comes down to equal points too, it'll go down to the most wins or the most 2nd place finishes.
Cameron Higgins from Auckland, another one that's gone a lap down now to Justin McDonald.
McDonald is revving the brains out of that beautiful little Honda.
Well, that's right, these 4-strokes, they really do rev, but they make a different noise to a 2-stroke, but I think they're slightly louder.
They certainly are, and that's something that we're going to be working on in the future with our clubs, just to try and reduce the noise levels a little bit.
McDonald in the front, Taylor in 2nd place, King in 3rd, Phillips in 4th. Phillips really needs to get another position, I think, Paul.
Yeah, well, the officials will sort it out at the end, because if they're on equal points, they'll go on a count back on the most wins, then step down as most 2nds and 3rds.
Well, there's no doubt about who is going to win this race. He's only got to stay on 2 wheels, and he's a young man from Christchurch, Justin McDonald. Just got a glimpse there of Cameron Taylor, so it is close, but I don't think it's going to be close enough. 21 coming into the shot, a lap down. This is Regan Gore from Dannevirke. There is Justin McDonald, and watch the speed difference. Watch the way he'll blow past the man from Dannevirke.
Yep, he's going to snap that throttle cable, Phil. He's got it tapped.
Well, he said that a good performance last year as a privateer. Now he's on what amounts to a factory team here in New Zealand, and that is the Castrol Honda Red Riders team, Blue Wing Honda managed. And he said he had to put on a show, and he has. He wins the final 125cc race of the day. In 2nd place, it will be Cameron Taylor, and in 3rd place, it'll be Damien King. Damien King will wrap up the championship, but has Cameron Taylor done enough to get 2nd? So if we have a look at the overall results, it's Justin McDonald in the front, Cameron Taylor from Australia in 2nd place. Then it was Damien King from Hamilton, and in 4th place it's Rotorua's Michael Phillips.
King's Road today. You're the number 1. One man.
Well, if you have a look at the 125 final points, it was oh so close for 2nd, and it's gone to the Australian. Damien King gets another 125 title, but Cameron Taylor will get 2nd on a countback from Michael Phillips. Well, the helmet check board goes across from our lovely MX Outlet start, girls, as we get set for the final 500cc race. This is the Craig Gilbert Motors Circuit in Waimate, 50 kilometres from Timaru. It's the venue for the 4th and final round of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championship. And who's got the whole shot? It's a green bike by the look of it, but no, sneaking down the inside, it's Luke Burkhardt. So the Suzuki will lead it, or will he?
Well, these things will tear your arms out of your sockets too. They've got 55 horsepower, very, very hard to hang on to.
Peter Broxham right up there as well, but it is 192. Luke Burkhardt, originally from Masterton, on the Team Shift Suzuki out in the front. Shane King moves up into 2nd place. Now, where is Daryl King? That's the question I'd be asking, Paul.
Oh, he'll be lurking with intent. And don't be confused as well, because I think Burkhardt's changed his uniform.
Well, he has. He was riding in orange a little while ago, but now he's in his new Alpine Stars gear for the final round of the 500cc class. Shane King in 2nd place. Remember, older brother Daryl has already wrapped up the title. He can't be beaten, but I'm sure he'd want to go out in a blaze of glory. At the moment, that glory is going to the Suzuki rider as they work the back section here in Waimate, this wonderful man-made circuit.
These Kings are a rare breed too. Like, you know, they just want to win. I'm sure it means more to them than championships. They just want to win races.
Well, Luke Burkhardt been taking up the slack in Australia with the injury to Darryl Hurley. on the Shift Motor Suzuki team out there. Well, this man done a lot of racing in Australia. Of course, he was the 96 World Motocross Champion, and he's hit the front here in the early going of the last 500cc race. This is Shane King. Burkhardt goes back to second. Then it's Peter Broxholm on the CRF 450, the second of the Castrol Red Riders rider. He's back in third, and then it's Daryl King, and of course Daryl King has already wrapped up the championship. I'm sure this is about pride, Paul Pavlidis. I know Shane King won't want to give up the #1 plate that he's held for years and years and years without a bit of a fight.
Wow, Condor and Shane must be kicking themselves because, these blokes are really competitive in this class. The wins have been pretty evenly spread. Shane King's won 3, Daryl King's won 4, and Cody Cooper's won 3. So, anyone could have won this championship.
This is one of the Honda riders. This is Peter Broxholm, originally from Tauranga.
He's charging too. I think he's getting better and better. He's just doing a lot of rider training schools and just on the charge.
Well, he said he had to ride hard here in the final rounds. He's had a bit of bad luck, like so many riders throughout the 4 rounds here for the SsangYong Championship. And you can put this guy in the same boat, number 192, Luke Burkhardt, a Suzuki stalwart, been riding Suzuki since the junior days, and he stays on the yellow bike.
Well, Burkhardt hasn't managed to win a race this series. He's had a couple of seconds, and they've been pretty close, but up until now, he hasn't pulled one off.
Well, Shane King not getting away from him here as they work out onto the back section of this very serpentine layout in Timaru.
Well, I remember last year they had a reel coming together and Burkhardt went south, didn't he?
Well, that's right on the final berm and virtually the final corner in the final round at Rotorua. That was last year. This is the final round. We're actually in the Waimate Gorge, not Timaru, but it's run by the South Canterbury Club, and they're putting on a fantastic show here today. And so is this man. He'd be kicking himself, Paul, that he didn't ride the 500s in the first 2 rounds. He only jumped on the 500cc or the 450cc Honda at Taranaki, his home track.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, because Shane's a fighter and he's competitive and he's proven he can win these races. It would have come down to the wire.
So Shane King, been busy this season, just recently come back from Europe. He was a reserve rider for the New Zealand Motocross of Nation teams, along with his older brother Daryl. So he'd be a little bit jet-lagged, hasn't done probably the riding he wanted to do before this race for preparation.
Well, he's got a lot on his plate too, he's got a family, he's just setting up his business, accessory business, and that's doing really well, so I think he's got his hands full.
So interesting to note that last year it was a Honda sweep. This year it looks like it might be a Yamaha sweep. And, well, they say the times are a-changing. They certainly are.
Well, the execs at Yamaha will be all smiles because it really is a blue wave this year.
Well, what we can confidently predict, it will be a King sweep. We've already seen Damien wrap up the 125s. Daryl King has wrapped up the 500s. So this race is academic, really. But as I said, it's about pride. It's about bragging rights around the kitchen table when they get together at the family home in Taranaki. And it's Shane King in the front at the moment. Burkhardt's starting to close him down a little bit here, I think, Paul.
Yeah, he certainly is closing the gap. I think the sponsors have had a great run this year as well, too. MX Outlet's been just so happy. They're doing well. DRD magazine, they're just rocking. It's all good stuff.
Well, I was talking to Paul Lance from Dirt Rider Down Under magazine, and he can't... and Burkhardt takes a soil sample. Well, that's exactly what he didn't need.
No, he'll be kicking himself.
He won't lose a spot, though, so that's good. He managed to keep the clutch in on the bike. There is Daryl King. What this is going to do, it's going to spur Daryl King on. Yeah. Maybe a couple of laps ago he was ready to settle for second.
No
now
way.
He's not. He's going for the win.
Just charges through. Spits a bit of dirt in his face as well on the way through.
Look at that. The guy's well into his 30s. Well, he's not far off his 40th birthday, and he's just making a mockery of the rest of this field.
He's 37 years old and unbelievable. It just shows, he's a real inspiration to us couch potatoes.
So Daryl King moves up into second place. Ahead of him, it is his younger brother, Shane. It's a King benefit here in Waimate.
What a legend. I really hope he doesn't retire. He's still so fast, and he's on track to win 2 national titles at 37 years old. It would be a crime to give up.
Well, it's a comeback of sorts because he badly broke his leg last year in round 1 of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championship. Didn't get to ride in Australia. Was rehabbing all in the off-season.
Oh, that looks a bit of a shortcut there.
Oh, wow. Well, something a bit special, something out of the tricks bag from Daryl King.
Bit of a shortcut, but the officials probably overlook it. He's already won the championship.
No, that's true. They can't take the title away from him. There's his brother. Just got a glimpse of him off in the distance as he comes up onto some of the lap traffic there.
I think it's been good for these two guys too, being brothers, just so desperately wanting to beat each other. It's lifted the bar and made them ride their hearts out every time they go out.
That's right, they ride so hard. Big field of 500s, probably the second biggest field of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Champs, and most of them have hung in tough and done the 4 rounds. Of course, we started in Mercer, we went to the rain and the slush of Hawke's Bay, then we went to the Taranaki, and here we are in Waimate on this beautiful racetrack.
Well, the clubs have, they've done themselves proud that, the track is magnificently prepared. It's just run like clockwork. Well done. I congratulate the clubs. Done a fine job.
Looking at Shane King there, Paul, he looks like he makes it look easy. I can tell you it's not easy.
He just looks like he's going for a Sunday trail ride, but, if you were standing at the side of the track, you're just in awe of how fast he's riding.
Well, at that time, show it all.
Yeah, the TV sometimes doesn't do justice to how fast these bikes are. What do they weigh? 90, 95 kilograms, and they've got 55 plus horsepower, so that gives you an indication how fast they are.
Shane just putting Michael Rule behind him from Bombay on the KTM. All the major brands that represented, of course, KTM, Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, of course, on your screens at the moment.
It's really getting to a good professional level now too. The distributors are getting right in behind it. They're running really flash teams. A lot of effort goes into winning a championship, and it's such a big effort.
Well, if you have a look at the graphic there, you'll see Cody Cooper up in front of Daryl King. Now, our spies tell us that Daryl has had a header in the back section of the circuit. He's still running, he's still back and forth, but he has lost a couple of spots.
Well, he's a seriously tough dude, you know that, Phil. He'll be getting back up and dusting himself off and looking for damage control and head down.
Mac McDermott, the next one to feel the heat of Shane King there, bike number 92.
Shane's got the handguards on too, and I think that's probably a smart move. You hear tales of broken fingers from rocks getting flicked up.
Well, checkered flag comes out over the motorcycle world drop-off, and it is Shane King that wins the final act of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championships in the 500cc class. In second place, it's Luke Burkhardt on the Suzuki, and in third, it's Cody Cooper on another Honda. Fourth, but the 500cc champion is Daryl King on a Yamaha.
Daryl did a great job, and Team Yamaha, they did a fantastic job this year, and they just beat us, fair and square, and all the other manufacturers as well. So it just means we've got to, do a bit of homework for next year, and we know where the mistakes were, and one was me not riding the 500 class. Next year for sure, I'll be out there in the 500 class.
So the final wrap-up of the 500 sees Daryl King take the title from Luke Burkhardt, Peter Broxholm and Cody Cooper. In 5th place, competing in only 2 rounds, is Shane King. In 6th place, it was Scott Moore, whilst in 7th, it was Mick McDermott. Welcome back to the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Championships, coming to you from the Craig Gilbert Motors Circuit in Waimate. Moments before the final 250cc race of the day, and this one, the title is still wide open. Who's it between? Well, it's between the brothers King.
That's a good start from Tim Kerr on the YZ250. He's got it nailed.
Well, he's been doing that all afternoon, actually. Tim from Blenheim.
It's a borrowed bike too, isn't it, Phil?
It is. They had some problems early in the morning. I think the bike was involved in a crash in the practice, and it might have done some damages to the cases. And when Tim's dad went to start it, he sheared the Kickstarter off, so they had to borrow a bike from Barry Morris. Barry Morris is in this field, and he's in the championship hunt as well. But it's young Tim Kerr out in the front at the moment. Another one of many New Zealand riders that have had lots of overseas experience, been up to Europe 5 times now.
Well, Tim's not going to want to give this bike back.
No, it looks like a bit of a rocket ship, and he gets such fantastic starts.
He's certainly improving. He finished 11th last year, so look where he is. He's leading the race at the moment. He's got to be happy.
Well, he's being hounded by Andrew Porter at the moment from Taranaki. And then you'll see, by the look of it, the first of the Kawasaki's, and that is Sean Fogarty out of Gisborne.
Well, you can tell too, Phil, the hardened pros too, because they keep the pace up for the whole duration of the race. A lot of these guys get really good starts and they start fading after about 3 or 4 laps.
Well, Fogarty leapfrogs Andrew Porter to move through into 2nd place, and there's Barry Morris. We talked about Barry Morris as being the loaner of the bike to Tim Kerr, so he's already up into the top 5 as well. Questions have got to be asked: where are Shane and Daryl King?
Or maybe they got balked at the start or had a bit of a tumble. Wherever they are, they're going to be coming through shortly.
They are what the championship is all about, and this one hasn't been decided yet, but let's keep an eye on what's happening at the front of the field. It is Kerr, then it is Fogarty, then it is Porter.
Oh, Daryl King looks just completely dominated this class. He's had 8 wins in the championship so far. The rest really just haven't matched up. Sean had won the very first race at Mercer, and Shane King's had a win. But total dominance from Daryl King.
Sean Fogarty is a bit of a template of what you need to do to be a top-line motocrosser. He's been racing in Australia the last couple of years, put his own team together this year with the help of the Hamilton Motorcycle Centre and Kawasaki, and here he is running in the top 2 in the final 250 race of the day. No taking it away from the guy on your screen, though. Tim Kerr on the Yamaha, out in front, waving the flag for the South Island.
Well, his dad Noel will be jumping up and down. He's got to be his biggest supporter.
Well, that's right. He's been helping him right throughout his junior days. This guy's been getting parental help through his junior days as well. This is Sean Fogarty out of Gisborne on the Kawasaki, currently sitting in 2nd place.
I think, Phil, too, the whole sport's in a really good position to grow at the moment. We're desperately looking to bring an outside industry and just grow the sport. It's very, very popular at the moment.
Well, if we have more races in picturesque settings like this, the Craig Gilbert Motors track in Waimate Gorge, it will grow. There is Andrew Porter, number 8, very distinctive from his pink helmet on the CR Honda.
These bikes are so even too, all these 252 strokes, you know, there's not a bad one out there. They're all extremely competitive and comparable.
And Paul, extremely powerful. I talked to most of the top riders today and they all said if they had their choice they'd rather be riding a 4-stroke because these 2-stroke bikes have got such brutal power delivery.
Yeah, well, I own one of these CR250s and it's just incredible. What a magnificent bike. It kicks like a mule.
So while we've been talking, I think Fogarty's gone through into the front running here and Shane King's got on the scene as well. Doesn't take him long. Now where is his brother Daryl? There is Shane King, bike number 1. He'll lose that plate today if things go well for his elder brother, but it hasn't been decided. It's come down to the last race. And you can guarantee that these guys will be going at it very hard indeed. Fogarty in the front, then it's Shane King, then it's Daryl King, then it's Barry Morris from Scotland via Upper Hutt and Maidstone Yamaha.
These King boys are just so hard. You know, if you can hear them behind you, you've got serious problems on your hand because, you know, they're very aggressive, tough riders and they will not fade.
Well, you've got to say that Sean Fogarty's taken it to them right throughout the series. 4 rounds for the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Champs. And without the Kings, I know it's a bit of an oxymoron, but without the Kings, he'd be there. He'd be the champion.
Well, he's had 2 or 3 second places as well. You know, he's right up the sharp end of the field.
Well, he's being chased at the moment by Shane King, currently 2nd in the points. Sean Fogarty back in 3rd. The man that leads the points is Daryl King. He's already had 2 wins today here in Waimate. He'd love to make it 3, but at the moment he's back in 3rd place, and he's a long way back.
Yeah, well, you know, don't ride him out. He'll come through the field. You know, he's shown how dominant he is through the whole series. 8 wins and 2 today, so absolute hot favourite.
Well, you mentioned hot, Paul, and I was talking to these guys about the hot conditions we've got here in Waimate, and they're all very concerned about dehydration and also getting in enough carbohydrates. This is a very physically demanding sport, and between races, the guys will be getting massages and also getting in some power bars or some power gels and lots of fluid. There is the pass for the lead. He made it look so easy. Shane King, 96 World Motocross Champion, shows he hasn't lost 1 inch of speed and flies past Sean Fogarty like he's chained to a post.
It's quite remarkable, really. He just flew past, just like it wasn't even a problem. So fast. It's shocking, really. You know, the guy's 36 years old. He's not slowing down. You know, he equips himself incredibly well at the top level in Australia as well. He's still got it.
And look at that, I think he's riding maybe a gear higher through that big berm after the drop off there by the finish line. So he's carrying the speed, and that's the secret. Momentum's the secret in motocross. Sure, you've got to be fit, and you'll see when we get shots of Daryl King, he'll be standing up all the time. But this guy is just carrying the speed, and it is so fast here. These things are wrung out.
Yeah, don't be fooled too. These 2-strokes are very, very torquey. You know, the modern 2-stroke isn't a peaky motorbike. They've got a lot of punch out of the turns.
So Shane King in the front now, Sean Fogarty in 2nd place, Daryl King in 3rd. Remember, King, the elder, has already had 2 wins. Shane would love to spoil the party. He'd love to keep at least 1 number 1 plate. He lost his 500cc plate to his elder brother. He won't want to lose the 250 plate as well.
Well, this has got to be the first year that Shane King hasn't won a New Zealand Championship, surely. I can't remember when he hasn't.
Well, it's been a long time. I think he's got around about 31 or 32 and counting since his days as a junior.
Just remarkable. This whole King family, they need to bottle the gene for motocrossing.
So down another one of these precarious drop-offs goes Shane King. Hard on the brakes, hard on disc brakes, both front and rear on these bikes. More suspension than you know what to do with, but they're using it all here in the rough conditions in the Waimate Gorge.
They've got 310 odd millimetres of suspension travel. Disc brake, front and rear, a really well equipped machine. Listen to that Pro Circuit exhaust pipe just screaming.
Well, Sean Fogarty hasn't given this up. In fact, I think he might be making up a little bit of inroads into the King lead at the moment.
Well, you'd want to think so. He's a young lion, so, I mean, it's all in front of him to do.
West Kawasaki is the team, 170, Sean Fogarty the rider. Second place, Daryl King in third, then it's Barry Morris, Tim Kerr. And then it's another Fogarty, and that's Damien, his brother, and Brad Norton. We've seen Brad Norton on the Kawasaki get great starts. He hasn't had a good one in this one, the final 250cc race of the day. The SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Champs for 2006 in association with Dirt Rider Down Under and MX Outlet and all the brands of your favourite motorcycles. The distributors right in behind motocross in New Zealand.
Well, the good thing too, these King boys being out there, Phil, too, it keeps the standard high and it forces these young guys to ride really hard. You know, they've got to win, you know, and it's nothing better than having an ex-world champion in front of you.
Well, Sean Fogarty riding hard here, just getting around one of the lap riders, trying to keep Shane King in sight, but difficult on the serpentine type of track we've got here. And you think it looks good on TV? Well, I can tell you from last year, they cut out a kilometre of the racetrack. It used to twist and turn right throughout the gorge, but they changed it, and they changed it for the better.
The club's done an awesome job of preparing this track as well. You know, I just take my hat off to them. Well done.
Well, the South Canterbury Motorcycle Club voted last year the top club in New Zealand, and that's through Motorcycling New Zealand, so they have done a fantastic job.
Yeah, they know what needs to be done.
So Shane King in the front. There is Sean Fogarty.
He hasn't given up, has he? You can just see by his body language, he's flicking the butt out of the bike and he's got it nailed.
No, he's been very tenacious right through. Shane King coming up on Aaron Haynes from Morrinsville on the White Line Suzuki RM250 with the next rider he laps.
Just went past the SsangYong sign as well too, and we're really, really pleased to have them on board. They've made it possible and really raised the standards.
So there is the pass on lap rider Aaron Haynes from Morrinsville. No shame to be lapped by a guy with the calibre of Shane King. Into the berm after the drop-off he goes. And watch the distance grow between himself and Haynes.
That's a serious drop-off too, you know, like they're flat out in fourth gear over that, and they must be jumping 60 feet.
Well, what you don't see from our camera shot is that it's got a little bit of a take-off ramp, so they actually leave the ground before the peak of the hill.
Floating a long way down the hill.
They get to work out the suspension, no doubt about that. Shane King getting to work out the CR250 Honda.
I'm surprised Daryl isn't closer, you know, like he's been so dominant, he must have got a shocking start.
Well, that's right, it's all about getting that start, getting the whole shot. A little bit of dust starting to come up here at Waimate now, and I guess that's a bit of a problem too for the guys further down in the field. It's all the advantage for the man in the front, and that's the man on your screen, Shane King, originally from New Plymouth. In fact, still living in New Plymouth. All the other Kings are spread right throughout the North Island, but Shane still calls Taranaki home. That's where he runs his business, Crown Kiwi Enterprises from, and that's where he does a lot of his practice riding.
It's so easy too to lose a race in the first lap too. You know, there's 40 guys on the start line. You get buried in the pack in the first few corners, and you know, the front guy can bolt. You can be 5-6 seconds behind after 2 laps.
Well, we saw that with Tim Kerr. He got a fantastic hole shot, stayed out in the front for a couple of laps, but then finally he succumbed to the pressure. First Sean Fogarty, and now this man, Shane King, out in the lead.
That's CR humming.
Shane, of course, a busy program in the coming weeks after the motocross champs here in Timaru. He's off to the International Motocross, the Oceania Motocross in Taupo, and then he'll represent New Zealand at the International 6 Days Endurance, better known as the ISTE. He cleans up the final 250cc race of the day. He won't win the title, but he'll win the battle, if not the war. In second place, it will be Sean Fogarty, and in third place, it will be Daryl King. And that is the way the judges saw it as well. So Shane King gets the last laugh in the 250s here in the Waimate Gorge for the fourth and final round of the SsangYong New Zealand Motocross Champs. But completing the King sweep, it is Daryl King that takes the 250 and the 500cc title. In second place, it's younger brother Shane, and in third, it's Gisborne's Sean Fogarty. Whilst in fourth, it's Barry Morris from Scotland, and in fifth, Andrew Porter from Taranaki.
To finish this week, it's back to Rosebank Road. It's the 2008 Karting Challenge. This time, it's the turn of the junior restricted class.
the Total Span City of Sales 2-day challenge coming to you from the Pallet Company Raceway, Rosebank Road in Auckland. And today we will be showing you the junior restricted class. And what a popular class it is. One grade up from the cadets. It's restricted to drivers 10 to 14 years of age. And we've got a huge field of karts, but two to watch for. Number 49, Daryl Hanna, and number 13, Bradley Hicks, coming off solid performances at the CIK Trophy meeting just last week. And they started off the front of the field. And once again, this whole meeting is about overall performance. This will be the final heat of the weekend. Vastly different conditions from what we saw in Saturday's racing when it was very, very wet and very, very slippery. And it is number 49, Daryl Hanna, in the front. And I think it'll be number 13 through in second place. And that'll be Bradley Hicks. And it isn't, in fact, it's Callum Quinn. So Hicks goes back into fourth. There's number 59, that's Aaron Wilson from Auckland. Hanna from the Bay of Plenty. Good little scrap going on there. 13 is in it, Bradley Hicks, so too number 2. We'll make it number 7. CJ Sinclair. The 49 out in the front. 91 in second place, as we told you, Callum Quinn, and in third place it is number 13, and that is Bradley Hicks. That's pretty much the order we expected him to be in, because Daryl Hanna has been absolutely dominant right over the weekend. Had a bit of a problem in Heat 1, but from then on, never finished any lower than second. 91 through in second place, can't make a dent on the lead of Daryl Hanna for the moment. That is Callum Quinn. So these kids aged between 10 and under 14 years of age. The kart's a full-size chassis powered by the KT100 Yamaha engine. Minimum weight of kart and driver is 150 kilograms. They run petrol, pump petrol only, and front wheel brakes are not permitted in the class. Well, this is where the action's starting to hot up a bit now. 91, Callum Quinn getting under a little bit of pressure now from Bradley Hicks. The two Mount Wellington karters have done this many, many times before, so they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And make no mistake about it, even though these kids are just young, they are certainly into psyching out the opposition and getting the race pace on, and that's certainly what the race leader Daryl Hanna has done. Well, nothing in it in this battle for second and third. In fact, the positions are reversed now, so Hicks moves up into second place, then Callum Quinn goes into third, then it's Reece Tinney, CJ Sinclair number 7 in behind them, then number 58 Aaron Wilson. This man won't be seeing any of the excitement because it's all happening behind him, and he's got a good, comfortable lead at the moment as he comes out of the sweeper at the end of the straight. This battle for second and third is going to go right down to the wire. They are wheel to wheel, side by side, and looking for the inside running room was 91, Callum Quinn. Now, did he get there? Yes, he did. Quinn goes back into second place. 13, Bradley Hicks moves straight back into third, but straight back onto the attack. A little bit of a push as they come through the S's now. All aggression is Bradley Hicks. The two Mount Wellington karters going at it like it's the World Championship, and look at this, 91 just hunking down, trying to get as aerodynamic as possible. Who's going to win the last of the late braking duels? Oh, and there's a little bit of rubbing. Well, they say rubbing's racing, and there's a bit of a look over as well. And, well, I don't think you have to read the mind too much of Bradley Hicks. He wasn't too pleased with that. And as we said before, 49 missing all this action behind him because he is just stretching his lead. In the Tony kart, this is Daryl Hanna from the Bay of Plenty. Once again, these karts so evenly matched. KT100 Yamaha powered machines. And this battle for second and third, well, they're in danger of bringing Callum, Reece Tinney up into this as well, because that's him in fourth place at the moment. Look at the lead that number 49's got, and that is Daryl Hanna, and he's had that lead right throughout the weekend. 13 and 91 arguing over second spot. Bradley Hicks back into second. Quinn goes back into third. So they've changed in the last 2 laps. A little bit of a don't argue there from number 13, Bradley Hicks. Well, as I said, both these guys out of the Mount Wellington Kart Club, so they know their strengths and weaknesses. Then it'll be Aaron Wilson now up into fourth place. So we've lost one of our runners out there. So 59 moves up into fourth. That's Wilson. And he can see this battle going on ahead of him, and he's just hoping one of these guys in front of him makes a mistake, because that means it'll put him up on the podium in this race. Last lap, here comes the big move down the inside this time from Callum Quinn. Can he make the pass stick? We go back to the race leader. He's comfortable at the front. I'd love to know what's going on in second and third. Just saw them flash by, just saw the helmet, so it's a bit too hard to call at the moment. No doubt about the winner. That's going to be Daryl Hannah. He'd get out and walk from here and he'd still get the checkered flag first. But all the action in second. Is it going to be Bradley Hicks? Is it going to be Callum Quinn? So across the line goes Daryl Hannah, acknowledges the big crowd here, and in second place it will be Hicks from Quinn, and then it'll be Aaron Wilson. But in the overall situation for the Total Span 2-day challenge, it is Daryl Hannah in front of Bradley Hicks and Callum Quinn.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, you can catch back episodes of Retro Motorsport on our YouTube channel, Sky Channel 83. Thanks for watching.
You'd have to say as we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come. What a crash!